Thank you. So Nancy Pelosi has remained a power player in Democratic politics, in part due to her unparalleled ability to raise money for her members. She frequently travels the country. She headlines big money events, schmoozes with donors in exchange for those campaign dollars. As of June last year, the middle of the midterm cycle, Pelosi had pulled in over $80 million for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. And the House Speaker, she's not the only one. Reports in recent years have detailed how members of Congress often spent hours a day on the phone trying to get money from supporters. Here's former Representative David Jolly. He said this back in 2016.
We all know the amount of money in politics, right? We all have different ideas, different solutions.
Yeah.
This is about the amount of time it takes to raise it.
It's
right?
unbelievable.
Let's pull the curtain back and realize you have members of Congress who are spending 20 to 30 hours a week.
Is that what you elected them for?
That's
what you have to think about.
You're paying them $174,000 a year, and they're spending half their time shaking down the American people for money instead of doing their job.
Retired representatives had said they were asked to raise thousands a day, sometimes required to chip in a portion of that, significant portion, to the party's war chest. It's another area where Pelosi and younger generation of politicians like AOC disagree. Take this tweet from earlier this month when Ocasio-Cortez said this: "I find it strange when members act as though social media isn't important. They set millions of dollars on fire to run TV ads so people can see their message. I haven't dialed for dollars once this year and have more time to do my actual job. Yet, we'd rather campaign like it's 2008. My guest doesn't think abandoning the strategy is going to help Democrats win over badly needed voters next year." He is Nick Daggers. He's a founding partner of the 1833 Group. Joined us tonight in the WGN studios. Nick, good to see you.
Thanks, Paul.
And you work with certainly candidates all over the country.
We do.
On the Democratic side. And so let me ask you, you heard what I just said. You heard what Ocasio said. It seems like we're just in a different world today. The days maybe when Nancy Pelosi started out and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez started out, they're just different.
They are, Paul. And, you know, campaigns have evolved. In 2004, nobody had heard of online fundraising. By 2008, Barack Obama was raising millions of dollars that way. But for most candidates around the country, they still have to rely on picking up the phone and calling donors and asking for dollars.
It's distasteful to a lot of them. And yet, in the candidates you work with, because I think you work with a lot of up-and-coming candidates, right? They're new, they're young to the game. Do they even recognize how important and how much effort they have to put into the fundraising?
No, I think that is a very common misconception, and especially now in the era of Trump and having a great set of young, up-and-coming progressives. They get into it for all the right reasons and then realize that that's what they're going to do all day, is pick up the phone, call people, and ask them for money.
So, and of course, I can't call my friends, I can't call my relatives, so somehow they seem to think they're just going to call these donors out there who don't know who they are. But I know that when you advise these candidates, you often say you got to start with the people who know you.
That's absolutely right. I mean, if the people that know you best won't give you money, a stranger's not going to give you money.
That's true. If your mom says no, where's that going?
Right. You know, we call it love money. So you start with the love money and then, you know, build your way out. And, you know, you need to raise that money too so donors will take you seriously.
So in the old days, they could use a Rolodex. That doesn't exist anymore. So what are they using? How are they building up those names to find people?
So, you know, we work with our candidates to find every person they've ever met. We scour their social media, we download contacts out of their phone, we'll sit down with them with yearbooks and college alumni directories, and really just try to build as large of a net as we can.
I am really intrigued this season by somebody like Mayor Pete Buttigieg. And the reason is because when you look at the polls in terms of how he's polling, he comes in like 5th or 6th in the national polls with African Americans. He's down there at 0. But you look at the money this guy raises, he beat Biden in the last quarter. From somebody who understands the campaign finance, what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the presidential level, it's very, very different than on the congressional and even the Senate level to some degree. You know, getting that national attention, you're able to get the national dollars. You know, going on TV, going on MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, or being in a presidential debate, you know, you're in front of thousands of people. Your tweets get retweeted thousands of times, and so it's able to just amplify your voice and drive people towards your campaign.
One of the things that triggered me to want to talk to you is you wrote an article about the fact that you have a lot of these candidates at the presidential level, but lower levels too, who basically, I'm not using corporate donors, and I'm staying away from the big donors, and I want those $1 contributions from everybody. Tom Steyer, who wants the Democrat, now he's reaching out. He's got his own money, but sort of just send me $1 because he wants to make it onto a debate stage. But your article about that sounds good, folks, doesn't work that way.
That's right. I mean, it works when you're on a presidential debate and you're on the national stage and you're able to go viral, which every campaign wants to go viral. Very few actually do. And it's a constant, give and take where and it takes time to build those. You have to build relationships with donors online just like you do on donors that you're calling and meeting with in person.
How important is candidate personality? And before you say it was very important, I understand that. But you look around and there's people you can almost identify, just look at Illinois and various congressmen. There's some who are just personality powerhouses and others who you would not describe that way, but they still won.
Yeah.
How important is that factor?
I think it plays a big role, but I think what's even more important is being able to find out what's special about the candidate. I'll use my old boss, Bill Foster, for example. Bill is not the most Congressman Foster is not the most charismatic guy in the world, but he's the only PhD physicist in Congress. And so when donors got to meet him and got to talk to him, he was able to get past that because donors found something special, interesting, and were intrigued by it.
When you have people like Lauren Underwood take down a long-term congressperson, that kind of thing, do you look at that and say, yeah, because she gets it, whatever? Or do you, as somebody who works with candidates to win these races, do you sometimes get surprised yourself?
It's a little bit of both. I think, we're able to see races coming just based on shifting demographics, based on what we're seeing in polls and in national trends. And then sometimes, especially in a wave election, I would say look more to like Kendra Horn in Oklahoma 5 or Sharice Davids in Kansas. Those were ones where their campaigns were able to get them close, and then the blue wave pushed them over on election day.
What explanation do you have when you have a candidate who looks really smart and they have a lot of good stuff to say? The presidential race, right? You have 24 of them in there, 23, whatever it is, but you have so many of them, and many of them say good things. Yeah. They're people that should like them, but they just don't poll. They're sitting at 1%, 0% negligible. When a candidate comes to you, what do you do to basically say, here's how we make a dent, here's how we become present?
Yeah, I think especially at the presidential level, they've got to find a way to stand out. There are things that are unique about all of them. Mayor Pete speaking however many languages it is. He found, between that and some of the other things he's been able to do to stand out, and some of the candidates have compelling stories. They have compelling issues and reasons why they're running, but it's really hard to get those out in 8-second sound bites and amongst 24 other candidates.
One thing you can't control is the number of people who run for office. You look at, for example, Illinois 3rd, where Dan Lipinski is the congressman. Bill was his father, and and you have a candidate who ran before him again, Marie, and now she's got a couple of others. So how do you deal with the fact when you might have somebody who you think is a good candidate, but then the waters start to get muddied when there's all sorts of challengers to them?
Yeah, there's a lot of things
in a primary.
Yeah, no, I think especially in a primary, that's definitely to Marie Newman's disadvantage. It's going to split just the anti-incumbent vote, and also with some of the racial, ethnic of the candidates, it's going to split those votes in some ways. But there's things that you can control, and there's things that you can't. And we try to keep our focus on the things that we can't control in a race.
So there could be people watching right now who say, God, that guy looks young. And if he's going to work on campaigns, shouldn't he be 70? Shouldn't he be 60? So take that as a compliment because you do very well. You're very successful. A lot of candidates want you. But really my question is, how important is it that people who want to run for office are working with people who are a bit younger today, with all due respect to those who are my age or more, but how important is it? What do you get that maybe older folks might not?
Yeah, I think it is. It's ever changing. It's never the same. Every cycle we're inching our way forward and we're doing things differently. And we can try to adapt to those new things. And I'll also say this, that for as young as I look, doing campaigns makes me feel like I'm aging very quickly in this business. So
what made you decide to do what you do as opposed to, you could run for office, right? I've known you for years, and so here's a guy I thought could run for politics. Why did you end up saying, no, I want to strategize with those who want it?
You know what, I think that I can make more change and I can affect more races by playing a role by playing a role in the strategy and helping build these campaigns, work with some great candidates and help them get elected to do great things.
And what do you say to folks who might be watching us right now, maybe younger folks who are saying, I'd like to be a candidate, I'd like to run, I think I can do it? Would you sort of say, careful, be careful? Would you say, no, go for it, everybody should run?
I think go for it. I think go for it, get in, try it, see if it's what you like, see if it's what you want to do, and if you don't, then pick, like President Obama said, pick up a clipboard and get to work.
Do you need to have the magic of a President Obama, that charisma? Is that charisma?
I wish every candidate had that.
It'd make your life easier, right?
Much. All
right, Nick Daggers, the 1833 group. Look up 1833. There's a reason that you've named that. It's kind of really cool. Thanks for being with me. Coming up next, the push.